Class 10 Chemistry Chapter 3rd. Good morning students. Now students, we are left with this properties of salts 3C, and this is basically not in syllabus but it is for your reference. Okay, so few topics in this series we will see. So students, in front of you it is general properties of salts. So salts are electrovalent compounds. You know the meaning of electrovalent. Some compounds are covalent, some compounds are electrovalent, and another name of this electrovalent compound is ionic compound. So salts are electrovalent compounds. They conduct electricity in their molten state as well as in their aqueous solution. Why? Due to their dissociation into ions. So you know, in liquid state, in molten state, the carriers of current, they are the ions. They can be then negative charge or the positive charge. For example, NaCl, sodium chloride, if you dissolve it in water, so that solution will pass the electricity on account of having the Na plus positive ions and Cl minus negative ions. Then salts are non-volatile solids that form crystals, and you know the meaning of non-volatile, you know the meaning of volatile, you know the meaning of non-volatile. So salts are non-volatile solids that form crystals. Now solubility of salts. Most of the salts are soluble in water. Their degree of solubility in water varies with temperature. So for your understanding, different graphs have been proposed for different compounds having different temperature, and this temperature is having an effect on their solubility. Okay, so you can have the idea that for some of the compounds, when temperature is being raised, the solubility decreases. For some other cases, up to some extent it has been increasing, then it is decreasing. For some other, it is increasing, and at certain degree temperature range, suddenly there is a jump in the solubility. Okay, so this is, students, for your reference. You need not to learn this diagram. So students, you have heard this term water of crystallization. So some salts unite with a definite quantity of water, which is known as the water of crystallization. Now water of crystallization is in loose chemical combination with the salts, and it can be driven out by heating the crystals of these salts above 100 degree Celsius. So some examples, this copper sulfate example you already know. So basically copper sulfate crystal, if it is blue, okay, so it means the formula you will write CuSO4 0.5H2O. So what is the meaning of 0.5H2O here? So means that copper sulfate crystal is having 5 molecules of water also. Okay, now if you heat this copper sulfate crystal, which is blue in color, what will happen? The 5 water molecules, they will get evaporated, they will be driven out of this molecule. So this 5H2O, they will be evaporated, and CuSO4 is left with, and basically this copper sulfate, now it is white form. Okay, and if you keep it like this, copper sulfate, again it will absorb the moisture, water from the atmosphere, and again it will become blue. Okay, so basically this 5H2O, it is not, I'm not saying that water is in the mixture form with the copper sulfate. Okay, you know how to represent a mixture. A mixture cannot be represented in this form, in the compound form, but here it has been represented in the compound form. Means the 5 molecules of water, they are part of this whole system. It is not separated. Copper sulfate and 5H2O are there. Likewise, some other salts are also there. This COCl2, when it combines with 6 H2O molecules, now it has become a single compound. Okay, this has become a single compound. So I will say that it is having 6 water of crystallization, 6 molecules of water of crystallization. Okay, then there are some more compounds with their common names, with the chemical name, and with the formula. So just give it a reading. no need of learning all the things, but do remember about this, because we have already done some of the experiments in the lab regarding this copper sulfate, blue crystals of copper sulfate. Now some of the crystals, when they are broken down because of heating, a sort of crackling sound is produced, and this very crackling sound, or this process of this production of crackling sound, is called decrepitation. And if you remember that in the lab you have done the experiment with the lead nitrate, so whenever you were hitting the lead nitrate salt in a test tube, a crackling sound was produced. Then efflorescence. Efflorescence is the property of some salts to lose wholly or partly their water of crystallization when their crystals are exposed to dry air even for a short time. Okay, so there are certain salts, for example this washing soda, and it is called sodium carbonate decahydrate. Sodium carbonate, deca means 10, decahydrate. So if you just keep it to normal light, that is outside, what it will do, dry air will take away the water of crystallization. And how many molecules of water of crystallization? 9 molecules of water of crystallization it has taken, and 1 will be left over there. So if you have seen, for example, the soap which is used for washing the clothes, okay, that was washing soda. So if you keep that soap outside, what do you see? That after some time it has become somewhat white. So it is somewhat colorless, or it becomes somewhat white, okay, or the color fades from that soap. So that is because of this efflorescence. So once again, efflorescence is the property of some salts to lose wholly or partly their water of crystallization when their crystals are exposed to dry air even for a short time. Okay, now students, it is not a case of efflorescence. The reason is that copper sulfate in presence of dry air will not lose its 5H2O molecules. It is only after you are heating this copper sulfate blue crystal, thereafter it is losing. But in case of efflorescence, no extra heat will be supplied. The normal temperature is enough to drive out the water molecules, or the dry air is enough to drive out the water of crystallization. So this sodium carbonate can be called as a efflorescent substance. Okay. Then another class of salts, it is hygroscopic substance. So some salts absorb moisture, that is water vapor, from the atmosphere without dissolving in it. Okay, you see the difference. In case of this example, it was losing water of crystallization, and here they are saying that some salts, they absorb the water molecules, although that absorption will not be in the form of the water of crystallization, but yes, they will absorb the water molecules. Such substances are called hygroscopic substance, and the phenomenon is called hygroscopy. So students, this is a class of some of the hygroscopic substance, not the class but the examples of the hygroscopic substance. So do remember them: silica gel, quicklime, phosphorus pentoxide, sulfuric acid, because somewhere down to another chapters, in another chapter we will be seeing their applications. Okay, application of sulfuric acid as a hygroscopic or dehydrating substance, application of quicklime, phosphorus pentoxide, etc. Then we have deliquescent substance. Now certain water soluble substance, when exposed to atmosphere at ordinary temperature, absorb moisture from the atmospheric air to become moist, and ultimately dissolve in the absorbed water, forming a saturated solution. Such a substance is called a deliquescent substance, and the phenomenon is called deliquescence. So there is a very minor difference between deliquescent substance and the hygroscopic substance. They were absorbing the water molecule, but they were not getting dissolved. But in case of deliquescent substance, they will absorb so much of water that finally they will get dissolved in that absorbed water itself. Okay, so NaOH. So for example, if you are keeping the NaOH crystals or caustic potash or potassium hydroxide crystals outside, they will first absorb water, and now they will absorb that much water that even they will get dissolved in it. Okay, so these are the examples of the deliquescent substance. Then we have drying and dehydrating agents. Certain substances remove moisture from other substances and are therefore called desiccants, or simply desiccating agents or drying agents. Almost all hygroscopic substances are desiccating agents. So you can see the examples of the hygroscopic substances. So they have the power to just absorb the moisture, and they will keep the other substances dry. Why? Because they will absorb the moisture present in their vicinity. So that's why they are also called as drying agents. Then we have, students, this dehydrating agent. There is a difference between drying agent and dehydrating agent. How come? Let us see. Dehydrating agents are substances that can remove water molecules even from compounds. Even from compounds, it has been written. Not only from atmosphere, but they will take the water molecules from the compounds. For example, concentrated sulfuric acid can remove water molecules from blue vitriol, and blue vitriol is nothing but the copper sulfate blue crystals. Okay, so this is in the compound. The 5H2O, they are present in this compound state only, but this sulfuric acid that is concentrated. Do mention that concentrated. So concentrated sulfuric acid has the capacity to just drive out these 5H2O molecules. Okay, so that's why the sulfuric acid is a good example of dehydrating agent. Sulfuric acid is a good example of drying agent. Sulfuric acid is also a good example of a dehydrating agent. So students, this is all for today. Goodbye.